presentation. The hotel lobby was air conditioned and beautiful. And I stepped outside of the air conditioning. It's like you ran into a wall of molasses, the humidity.
It
But
is.
it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, besides July and August, it's really great. Now we've got Ottawa weather right now. I think it's like 20 degrees.
Oh,
Um, let's just take a look here. It's 24, but I forgot to
that's
turn off.
Fahrenheit, right?
That's Fahrenheit.
Okay. Okay. See, we're up here in Celsius.
Yeah, so that's probably what, -8.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of chilly, man. But that's not bad.
Yeah,
But it's unusual. I remember another time traveling up there, meeting with an individual, and he said, "You know what I like about Atlanta is during Christmas, you can sometimes be playing tennis. You have but you do get those cold things, or like going to Texas, Dallas will get snow. Houston is in that subtropical era where they won't. Yes,
yeah,
they. You know what? The world is interesting with the weather patterns,
it
but
really
that's
is.
another conversation. Anyway,
So cool. Let's see. So I heard about you've got a great community and a great voice. I think you've built trust and you have a point of view, which is, we always like to connect with those type of leaders. And so that's why I had reached out.
okay. All right. So let me ask you about NPI. Tell me a little bit about NPI. Because obviously, I mean, you're a bigger company than I knew. So yeah, just give me a little bit of background on what you
Yeah.
do and how you work within the industry sector of procurement, supply chain, logistics, etc.
So we used to cover logistics, but we are solely technology right now.
Okay.
And we work with large enterprises. So, half of the Fortune 100, starting with Fortune 1, Walmart,
Right.
and a good chunk of the Fortune 500. So that's kind of our space. And our job is, we work with, call it 40% of the Fortune 500. We want to work with the other 60%.
Okay.
So that's really the mission we're on. Um, are you familiar with ClearEdge, Accenture?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. More so Accenture, but yes.
Yeah, well, ClearEdge was our biggest competitor and very similar to what we were doing. What we since taken, quantum leaps with our technology, but our main mission in life is to help our clients achieve world-class outcomes on their IT purchases and renewals. So you take a Morgan Stanley, they'll do 200 big deals in a year, and they'll send every single one to us. We'll do a benchmark line item, SKU level, return a deep analysis. So we're known for our analyses. They're 3 to 5 pages of real insightful how to get the best deal. And part of that get the best deal is deal structure in licensing,
Hmm.
in commercial terms, and the other is just straight up negotiations. NPI stands for negotiation partners. That's kind of how we started life 21
Right.
years ago. So, but we've evolved to what our clients are asking for currently, and it is, rapid transaction review and optimization on all that spend.
Now, if I could just interrupt for a second, because a
Sure.
lot of these organizations, like Walmart, I'm very familiar with, they may have legacy systems, they may have other things on that. So I would gather that, and I've talked about this at length, is organizations have this horizontal growth of where they have a wide, broad spectrum of solutions, and many of them are only using 10 to 15% of those solutions.
Yeah.
And so on the first part of it, of course, is getting that optimization about which you talk in the existing environment. But then there is the negotiation side, and I mean, I've been around 40 plus years. Sun Tzu is something was
Oh, it was big.
required learning, but
We use
most
that.
battles
Yep.
are won or lost before the fighting begins. And negotiation, being able to negotiate effectively, means that you have to have that deeper understanding beyond the features, functions, and benefits, which I
Yep.
don't think a lot of companies have the ability to do that kind of in-depth analysis outside of relying on what a Gartner says or McKinsey or whatever. But we know those relationships, and I am not bad-mouthing anyone. We all know it's the way it is. So if I gather what you do, if I'm correctly gathering what you do, you're able to assess existing as well as new platforms in terms of the value they're going to derive. There's a major university, Ottawa University, had massive licensing agreement for how many seats and users, and turns out they're only using 15% of that, and it was costing them money. So I would imagine what you are is a practical technology, and I won't say inventory, but a technology value creator with what they have, what they're planning to have, and how you bring them in together. You would, I would imagine, help them to say, look, if we're bringing in something here, the old days of the bolt-on solutions, what we're going to be able to do is to tell you what impact it's going to have throughout the entire organization, and what, will that lower the cost of other areas that you may be overspending on, efficiencies. And I take it that you are probably once in an ongoing resource because it's in a perpetual state of evolution. I mean, am I missing anything, or am I on
No,
left
you're
field?
nailing it. Very insightful. Yeah, we renew at about a 90% rate.
Right.
The reason why they don't renew is they were maybe too small and didn't have their act together or some regime change. But otherwise, they're very happy. Our ROI is enormous. And on your other point, that rapid transaction review, that's 70% of our business. The other 30% are projects, advisory for optimization.
Right.
So, to the Ottawa example, who was the vendor in that?
Say
Uh,
that again.
who was the vendor in the Ottawa?
Oh, geez, I can't remember. This is like 27 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's common. I mean,
Yeah.
we work with very sophisticated companies, and they struggle with that. It's 27%, or whatever the number was, is extremely low. But or 15%, I think. What we normally find is 30% of licenses are not being used at all, or they could do with a lower version of the license. And so that is a big, you think of a Microsoft deal for a large enterprise, it could be 50 million a year. It's not uncommon for us to knock 10, 15 million off that thing just through optimization. Just going, okay, you got E5, you don't need the Cadillac for these users, you
Right.
know, or Salesforce is also a good
The
example.
acres of diamonds story. That's it. You know that story. I mean, you're sitting on a gold mine of money that you could reallocate more effectively. See,
Yeah.
that's interesting because you deal with technology, software, etc. Um, it's an interesting. So how come you're so? I never, and look, I mean, I don't know everybody, but it's like you're this quiet company that just goes about your business. And when you look at NPI, and there's so many different acronyms, but I mean, like, this sounds like, especially now, because over the last 40 years, the rate of initiative failure has been consistently high. Uh, Mergers and acquisitions have been cumbersome. I remember talking with the CPO for Duke Energy after they purchased Synergy, and they had 11 legacy systems to bring together. And it's not just a matter of on paper, but it's also a matter of the cultural and political impact on that. But
Yeah.
you've got to start off with a point of understanding. Is it even going to be worthwhile to move in that particular direction? I mean, that's where I see you could be invaluable, because you're not influenced by what the Gartners or the McKinseys or whatever else are. You're there to just say, look, we're like auditors. We're like the IRS of high tech. We're going to come in there and we're going to tell you what it is, and we're going to go up everywhere with a microscope, because our job is to say, are you getting the most traction? And I think that if your percentage says, before, this is the utilization, after us, this is the utilization, an improvement there, and this is what they translate into immediate dollars on fees, licensing, or whatever else costs. But let's extend that to the impact it has on our profitability, our revenue stream, because supply chain technology touches every part of a business. And so it's going to reach out to the external, ultimately the end customer. I mean, you have multiple chances to be able to show value beyond the initial negotiation.
Yep.
You can bring that together. That's where I see your value. That's what I was thinking.
Again, very insightful. We come with this portfolio of solutions that for your rapid core spend, we can serve that. For the big strategic area renewals, we can serve that with projects. We have training, we have community meetings, we have educational summits, client advisory boards. I mean, we surround our customer in every step that they make. We're there to support and protect. Because, one false move on some of these deals will cost you a gazillion dollars.
Huge. I mean, look at the Way Forward initiative in Canada. And do you deal with just private sector, or are you also in public sector?
We dabble with it, like Social Security is,
Like that, but you're more private sector.
yeah.
Yeah, easier to. Well, you know what I'd like to do, if it seems I've got a good grasp of this, is I'd like to circle back with you in a week or so from now because I see a unique proposition that you have that I
Yep.
don't often see. If you have any PowerPoints or any videos or anything you want to send me to provide added information that can maybe fill in some of the gaps, let's circle back because it's like I'll use this simple analogy. If you have a poor foundation, IT foundation, adding more will not make it any better. In fact, it'll make it all worse. And
Yep.
what you can do is there's a foundational understanding of IT as how to gain traction. The only tricky part, and this is something I've seen over the past few decades, when SaaS first came out, software as a service, and companies were struggling mightily with ERPs and all of these return on investments. Many were afraid to go before the board and saying, well, now we can implement a SaaS solution for a fraction of the cost, be up and operational, and give us some immediate returns. I mean, the negative connotation was these are bolt-ons, but the reality is that there is also, a way of doing this, I would imagine, that doesn't put somebody in a defensive position of saying, how could that happen? I'll call it the Jim Collins autopsies without blame. I mean, so you've got to have an approach for that too, I would imagine.
That was our biggest gating factor in the beginning. Fortunately, the market has gained acceptance for this type of data and intel.
Right.
And we're the market leader. ClearEdge was always kind of up with us, but with them decimated, we've hired a lot from there. We're the market leader, and we're private equity backed, growth fund. So we're scaling quickly. Um, and there's other alternatives in the market, Gartner, but they don't really roll up their sleeves and help you get the best deal. Kind of just give you vague vagaries. McKinsey, they use us. They're one
Okay.
of our active clients in that space.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there because right now, here's what my idea is, and we'll circle back. Is I record all my meetings and notes because I'm old and I'm a lousy note taker, but I love your video presence and the discussion. I would love to share this interview with you. As is, it's not a sales and marketing ploy with my with my blog subscribers, etc. Because I think we've got to get that word out about you. Are you okay with
I,
that?
I would love it. I
I
mean,
mean, like this isn't what you call the Madison Avenue polished stuff. I mean, we're not wearing suits and ties. I still have to shave a little bit and have another fourth cup of coffee. But yeah, I'm going to share this. I'm going to post this over the next couple of days. But I want to connect with you again. Send me whatever information you have because I see tremendous, tremendous value in what you bring. And you have 40% of the market. I think you could easily expand that to a much wider perspective. And there's blocks of pieces where you can fit into all of that so that you're not dealing with these siloed implementations that are just compounding like compound interest except going the wrong way are compounding problems rather than solving them. And I think that's where I see you playing a role. So I'm glad you reached out to me. So get whatever information you think I could use on this. I'll post this and tag you, and let's see what happens. Because most of my followers are in the C-suite, CEOs, CPOs, CIOs, etc. And it's a very, very fast concept to grasp. It makes sense. So let's take it from there, and let's talk again next week and send me some additional information. But I see some good possibilities here.
Great. I'd love to work with you.
All right.
I'll
Take
send some
care.
stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.